Hey, how's it going everyone, and welcome to today's video. Now, as you all know, over the past few weeks, I have went through and reviewed each individual movie in the sequel trilogy. In doing so, however, I discussed a number of plot holes throughout them along the way. One of the biggest ones that has always bothered me is the fact that Anakin never appeared and talked to Kylo. So, over the past week, I've been really thinking about this, and I believe I've come up with a very cool reason that makes sense of the situation and explains his absence. So, strap on in, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a Star Wars theory.
This is where the fun begins.
Alright everyone, so one of the main things that bothered me in The Force Awakens was Kylo's turn and his motivations as a whole. So, throughout the entire sequel trilogy, it is heavily shown and discussed that Kylo worships Darth Vader and wants to be like him. For example, Kylo somehow found Vader's mask and keeps it in his possession all throughout the trilogy. He asks Darth Vader for advice, wears the helmet himself for absolutely no reason, and Rey even said that Kylo's greatest fear is that he will never be as powerful as Darth Vader. However, the main instance of displaying that his motives are intertwined to his worship of Darth Vader is when he looks at his mask and says, "I will finish what you started, grandfather." However, this statement in its entirety makes absolutely no sense. You see, because Darth Vader was turned by Luke back into Anakin Skywalker and redeemed. He killed the Emperor, which was a major catalyst for the ultimate crumbling of the Empire. He essentially, in a way, saved the galaxy, because had he not killed the Emperor and turned, they would have escaped the Death Star after killing Luke, leaving no one really capable of defeating them. So he was an enormous part of that, and he fulfilled his destiny as the Chosen One. So I guess my main question is, what exactly are you going to finish, Kylo? Vader turned good, meaning that your whole motivation and idol is against what you were trying to do. Like, did no one tell him the full story of what happened on the Death Star? That's the only thing that makes sense as to how Kylo wouldn't know that Anakin turned good in the end. However, in Episode 9, we learn that in fact the Emperor is alive again, and he has been the one manipulating Kylo the entire time. He tells him that he has been every voice that Kylo has ever heard inside his head. During this moment, the Emperor imitates Vader's voice as well. This means that the Emperor was likely talking to Kylo in his head, using Vader's voice as a way to manipulate him by using his own grandfather against him. The only way I can see this working, though, is if he told him that Luke lied about what happened on the Death Star, meaning he would be under the assumption that Vader never actually was redeemed. Now, if this was the real world, I would have no problem with this. However, this is Star Wars, and in Star Wars, there are things called Force Ghosts, and Anakin became one when he died. This means he could appear and talk to Luke, Leia, Kylo, or anyone else who wielded the Force. However, for the above method to work to turn Kylo, it would require Anakin to never appear and speak with him at all. This simply would not happen. When Anakin turned back, he understood that everything he had done as Vader was wrong, and he knew the price he had paid for his decisions. He hated himself throughout his entire time as Darth Vader. His decision to turn had cost him everything that he once loved, and he even often fantasized about what life would be like had he not turned in the first place. So there is no way that he would not come and speak with Kylo in order to prevent him from making the exact same mistakes as he once had, and stop him from being manipulated and lied to by the very same man who had turned him. He would especially not allow that to happen because Kylo was his family, and nothing meant more to Anakin than family. It is what originally caused him to fall into the pit of the dark side, but also what gave him the strength to climb back out. So, knowing that Anakin would have absolutely appeared to Kylo, but didn't, we have to assume that for some reason, Anakin was prevented from manifesting himself and speaking to Kylo. So, the question is why? Why could he not speak with him? What stopped him from doing so? Well, that leads me into my theory of today. This theory heavily revolves around the events in the Clone Wars Season 3. As many of you know, this season contains one of the greatest storylines in Star Wars history, the Mortis arc. Now, Mortis is an ethereal plane within the Force itself, in which Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka first found themselves on in Season 3, Episode 15, Overlords. On this world, known as Mortis, resided a father, son, and daughter. The son was the living embodiment of the dark side, whereas the daughter was the embodiment of the light side. The father, however, was a powerful Force being in charge of watching over the Force and making sure it maintained balance. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka soon learned after meeting them that they were brought there so that Anakin could be tested. It was believed that Anakin was in fact the Chosen One, and the father wanted to make sure of it. After Anakin displayed that he indeed was the Chosen One by making the son and daughter bend to his will, displaying immense power and the ability to control both sides of the Force, the father mentioned that Anakin would be the rightful one to take his place and watch over the Force. However, the father was soon killed by the son, and Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka were returned to reality once they had defeated the son. So, here is my belief on what happened following the death of Anakin. As we all saw, he appeared on Endor following the destruction of the Death Star. After this, we all figured that he would likely go on to help teach and guide Luke in his journey as a Force ghost. However, I do not believe this is what happened. I believe that he did have some moments with Luke following Return of the Jedi, but it was not long until he moved on to the next chapter. You see, when Vader killed Sidious, he fulfilled his prophecy and thus he put the Force back into balance. However, now that it was back in balance, someone would need to return to Mortis and watch over the Force and make sure it maintained this balance. As the Father said, Anakin was the perfect candidate, and as we all saw, the one man capable of fully controlling both sides of the Force. This is even displayed in his life, as he was a Jedi and a Sith for essentially the same amount of time, thus meaning even his life was a balance of light and dark. So my thoughts are that he took his position on Mortis to maintain balance as he was destined to do. However, along with this, I believe him taking this post forced his spirit to be bound to Mortis itself, and he was unable to manifest himself to anyone at any time, and instead could only speak to those who arrived in Mortis. I have no doubt that Luke made visits to Mortis due to his power and knowledge of the Force. However, it is likely that Kylo never had the opportunity to visit this place and speak with Anakin. This meaning that he would have nothing that he could trust tell him the truth of what happened to Anakin. This would leave him very vulnerable to the Emperor's manipulation and make more sense of his turn and why he worships Vader so much. I think this is a very cool explanation, as it not only further shows that Anakin was the chosen one and explains why he never appeared to Kylo to prevent his turn, but it also serves as a fantastic way to link back to one of the most amazing story arcs in all of Star Wars. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. Please make sure to let me know what you thought about this theory and the video as a whole down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great day, and may the Force be with you.